Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Pearl's Paranormal. We are live here in the studio, and tonight we are going to talk about something that you can probably identify with. It is a topic that goes way back to biblical times, but it's still a mystery uh, and unexplained. Some people don't believe. We always ask, do you believe? Even though there's written testimony in the Bible, other archaeological documents and drawings and pictures, they don't believe it. But yes, tonight we're going to show you that yes, this particular of species actually did exist. And contrary to what some people might believe, I think they might, according to measurement styles or measurement figures, might still exist today. So let me bring in the rest of the team so we can get on into our paranormal mythology and mystery show for tonight. We got the heartbeat of the South and my every heartbeat, my son, Tim Harrington. Hey, Tim.
Hey, mom, how's everybody doing?
Oh yeah, well, I got like always some stomach issue or something going on, but I never let it hold me back. And I try not to bore the audience with it, that sort of
Yeah,
thing. But yeah, I'm okay. Let me just put it that way. As the old folks said back in the 1800s, I'm
gotcha.
fairly middling,
All
fairly
right.
middling. All right, all right. Guess who's back on vacation, y'all? Our girl, CC Carson. Hi,
Hey,
Kathy.
Kathy.
Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm glad to be back. I missed you guys.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, I tell you what, you look
Welcome back.
fabulous.
Oh, thank
That
you. Yeah, I got
vacation really
leopard
worked
on.
for you.
Thank
I better
you.
take me a vacation so I can look fabulous.
Yeah, actually, it's warm too, so it does both things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just extraordinary. But they say grass. But what most people are finding, and now that we are so far into our social platforms and social media and our cell phone technology, is that when people go on vacation, they won't leave their cell phone at home.
Oh, right. That's true. It's a necessity nowadays. Yes.
I know. It's like, if we don't have our cell phones with us, I can remember like when I used to go to work in the mornings and I thought maybe that I left my door key in the door and I'm halfway to work. And and you really don't that you panic, but you really, you're running late for work and you really can't turn around and go get your key or to check and see if you got your key or to stop and see, because you're fumbling in your purse, but you don't see it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that with our cell phones nowadays. If we reach in our purse or pocket, don't have our cell phone, we go into immediate panic, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, immediately our blood pressure shoots immediately, hits the red.
Yeah. And you have to wonder, is that healthy for us, Kathy? What do you think?
No, no, I don't think so. I, I know when I experience it, it never feels healthy.
I
So,
know, and or if for instance if you lose it, you leave it somewhere. Um, I wonder have there been heart attacks connected to people losing their cell phone or having their cell phone stolen from them?
yeah.
Um,
Mm.
I mean, when we're that connected to a piece of something, uh, what can we say? What do we say?
Yep.
It almost seems unreal 20 years ago today, right?
Yeah, definitely.
20 years ago today, we would not have been going through what we have to go through to keep up with our cell phone. We have to keep it charged. Uh, and then if it doesn't work, we go into a panic. It's our
Yeah.
only form of communication. Our main form. People
Let
don't
me
even
ask you
write
this.
letters anymore.
So,
Yeah,
so could the chip was talking about um, all these years, could it automatically be the cell phone that
having
we
us
can't live
addicted.
without? That's always attached to us.
Of course, of
Yeah,
course.
that could be
Another
the
myth.
chip.
Another myth, because that myth came out probably about 10 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when the myth came out, and
Yeah,
everybody just said, "Ah, nah." But look at us today.
yeah.
Somebody was right, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And so I made up in my mind for the year 2024 that I'm going to write letters. And if I don't write letters, I'm going to write songs, or I'm going to write poems. I'm going to do some writing. Okay. And then the other thing is that I got to pull all these numbers out of my phone and write them down somewhere, right? Because,
Yeah.
yeah, because if you don't have your phone, and you ask to use somebody else's phone, do you know the number that you want to dial? No.
I think I only one. I think you got your the only number I remember is yours.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And let mommy apologize up front, but I don't even know yours by heart. But
No problem.
I don't even know yours by heart. But I've got to learn it. Hey, Doug. Doug says hi, y'all.
Hi,
What's
Yep.
up,
Doug.
bud?
He said, "Yep, we panic." Okay, Kathy, I'm gonna pull you up here with Tim, cause I don't mind my face being blocked. Okay. Hi y'all. We panicked because we lost our shade tree mechanic. Oh, I know. I like that's a blues song. I like it. All right. So let me tell y'all what I've done. Thank you all for coming in. We don't have that many people on Facebook tonight. I think a lot of them are watching. They've got some new sitcoms and things that are coming out. Series and things on regular TV that's coming out. um, the month of February. But we have so far 30 of you that are with us, and we've been live for only 8 minutes and 38 seconds. Thank you so much. And let's get a round of applause on that. I just thank y'all so much. All right. Over here. So let's just dive right on in here. I have a very interesting video. How many of you all out there believe in giants? Giants. Tall, very strong people. Yes, raise your hand. I do. Okay, all right. Well, we know from biblical history that giants date all the way back to Bible time. And let's watch this video. And after we get finished watching this video, we're gonna talk about it, pull out some key points of it, and then Kathy has a very special announcement to make in regards to this actual video and this topic tonight. And she sent me some material that I'm gonna share with you while she's talking. So let's get started. Everybody ready?
Let's go.
Okay, the kids really gonna enjoy this. All right, so here's our first video. Let's go.
Welcome to the Unraveling the Scriptures channel. The ancient pyramids of Egypt have been a subject of great controversy throughout human history, sparking debates about their origin, dating, and various other aspects related to them, as well as their supposed builders. In this video, I will specifically address the intriguing theme of giants who possibly inhabited the land of ancient Egypt, exploring the possibility of any contact between these beings and Egyptian civilization. I invite you to watch and share your opinions, leaving likes, comments, and spreading the word among those who share an interest in this fascinating topic and the history of Egypt. Thank you in advance for your support, and I hope you enjoy this content from the channel. Were the giants in Egypt the builders of the pyramids? Undoubtedly, just like the Israelites and other peoples of the Middle East, such as the Canaanites, Sumerians, and Akkadians, the Egyptians also had contact with ancient giants. In the Egyptian context, as well as the Nubians to the north of Africa, there is evidence of a relationship with these imposing beings. Some theories suggest that the Egyptians' connection with ancient giants was so significant that it included a friendship that led to collaboration in the construction of the iconic pyramids. Many speculate that these giants, ranging in height from approximately 9 to 13 feet, played a crucial role in transporting and placing the immense blocks of stone used in the construction of the pyramids. The hypothesis gains strength with the discovery of the skeleton of Pharaoh Sonakht, belonging to the 3rd Egyptian dynasty. This Egyptian leader was nicknamed the Giant by the Egyptians, and although his stature was approximately 5 feet 11 inches, a recent article in Live Science, released on August 4, highlights that he was 5 inches taller than the imposing Pharaoh Ramses II and 8 inches taller than the average height of men at that time. It is important to note that in today's context, many men reach this height, but at that time, they could be considered giants. These findings continue to fuel the debate about the possible presence and influence of giants in ancient Egyptian civilization. Throughout Egypt's history, numerous examples of exceptionally tall beings have been reported, excavated, and depicted in Egyptian art. Among these records, there are examples of giants, including mummified fingers, which have been kept away from public knowledge. Discoveries indicate sizes ranging from 7 to about 16 feet in height, approximately 4 meters and 80 centimeters. Thorough research of archaeological records, ancient texts, and analyses of hieroglyphs and Egyptian art has begun to shed light on this phenomenon of giants in ancient Egypt. Sarcophagi approximately 13 feet long were discovered, along with bones of remarkably large dimensions, often kept secret from the media. These archaeological finds, which include sarcophagi and bones of impressive size, are often so extraordinary that they end up being kept secret, but it is difficult to hide such discoveries. A peculiar example is the famous giant finger, measuring approximately 1.25 feet long, found mummified in Egyptian soil. Calculation indicates that this finger could only belong to a being over 13 feet tall. The entire Middle East region has deep legends, stories and mythologies about giant human beings, with heights ranging from approximately 10 to almost 16 feet. Alongside sacred references from the Bible, which include accounts such as Moses fleeing Egypt and facing attacks from different populations, tribes and races of giants, such as the fearsome Rephaim of Canaan, as well as the race of giants known as Anakim, among others of beings over approximately 10 feet tall, we come across the narrative of the giant Goliath. In the Old Testament, we also find the biblical story of Og, the king of Bashan, who was more than 13 feet tall and 6.5 feet wide. Numerous reports from newspapers and articles corroborate the reality of these giants and their races, with their enormous skeletons and bones unearthed in remarkable proportions in the biblical lands of the Middle East, Egypt, Africa, and other regions of the Middle East. Some theorists even suggest that a ruling elite in Egypt, possibly composed of prehistoric Egyptians, also known as Hamitic Egyptians or simply Hamitic Egyptians, were seen as superhuman. Although these rulers were not giants themselves, it is highly likely that they had contact with such giant beings, some of whom had elongated skulls, while others were considered almost spiritual, and some were described as true giants. An ancient legend suggests that the pyramids of Giza may have been erected by a race of giants, as shared during a lecture by Manly Palmer Hall, possibly recorded in the 1980s and released in a YouTube video, originally part of a lecture titled Atlantis and the Gods of Antiquity. In the lecture, it was reported that in the year 800 AD, during the glory days of Baghdad, the great Sultan and descendant of the notable Arakcide of the 1001 Nights, Sultan Arakcide Al-Mamun, decided to open the Great Pyramid. It was told to him that this monumental structure had been built by giants called Shadi, superhuman beings of imposing stature. Within the pyramids, they guarded not only a great treasure but also knowledge beyond human understanding. An interesting point mentioned in the lecture was how the constructions of ancient Egypt amaze modern builders due to the perfectly cut blocks, as if a laser had been used to sculpt them. These structures were also incredibly heavy, some weighing tons, raising the possibility that only giants could transport these blocks. In 832 AD, Al-Mamun, the Arab, embarked on a journey to ancient Egypt and became the first to explore the Great Pyramid, which, at that time, was still enveloped in blocks of white limestone. As for the Shadi, the true identity of these beings is shrouded in mystery, possibly related to an Egyptian name like Shemsuhor, followers of Horus, or even Shad ibn Ad, considered the king of the lost Arab city of Iram of the Pillars, mentioned in Surah 89 of the Quran and sometimes described as a giant. The most evident evidence of giant presence is found in the early archaeological expeditions in the region, revealing that the members of the Horus cult constituted a kind of elite that ruled Egypt. Graves located in northern Egypt, dating from times preceding the onset of the pharaonic dynasties, had notably wide entrances, and the human remains discovered were considerably larger than the typical features of the native population. According to historians, the disparity was significant, though verifying the truth of these accounts in books and articles is challenging, as, if true, they could have been suppressed by the prevalence of biased archaeology. There are also other reports from around the world mentioning the presence of giants, but the evidence is present in our main source, the Bible. The ancient Arabic manuscript known as the Book of Wonders, dating approximately from 900 to 1100 AD, represents a compilation of medieval knowledge about ancient Egypt and the pre-Great Flood world. In it, it is mentioned that the people of Ads were giants, suggesting that Shaddad possibly was one of them. According to the text, Shaddad claims to have built the monuments of Dashur using stones carved in the time of his father, and another giant had started the construction at a later date. Furthermore, the manuscript highlights that another giant deposited secrets in the pyramids of Dashur and other pyramids to imitate what had already been done. The city of Dendera, founded in ancient times, consists of the Red Pyramid and the Bent Pyramid, both built during the reign of Pharaoh Snefru around 2600 BC. Dendera also features highly decorated pillars dedicated to the Egyptian goddess Hathor. Continuing the text, it is mentioned that the first king of Egypt, right after the flood, along with his companions, built monuments, erected tall towers, and performed marvelous works. The city of Memphis, in turn, was a later work carried out by a group of giants in the service of King Mizraim, notable for being the same term used in Hebrew and Aramaic for one of the sons of Ham, the father of African peoples. Interestingly, throughout the first millennium BC, giants began to disappear from Egyptian records. This can be attributed, in part, to the often tumultuous relationship between giants and ancient Egyptians, as giants sought worship or, on some occasions, attempted to dominate and destroy. Despite these interactions, accounts affirm that the Great Pyramids of ancient Egypt were indeed created with the assistance of ancient giants. I hope you enjoy this information. Leave your likes and comments on whether you believe in the presence of giants mentioned in the scriptures, also being in ancient Egypt. Stay with God, see you soon.
All right. Wow. That was just really awesome. Then we learned a lot of information
Yeah,
about the giants in Egypt.
yeah.
And y'all hear Tim? I
No,
know you're excited.
now was I listening correctly? Did they say Memphis?
The city of Memphis, here in Memphis, Tennessee, as long as around some, there's other cities too that are
Hmm.
named Memphis that are in other states.
Right.
But that name, Memphis, does come from the original Memphis, Egypt. And
Okay.
there still is a Memphis, Egypt. So it doesn't, and you'll find that a lot of the names of cities and states in both the UK, the United States, and around the world actually comes from Egypt. A lot of the names. So
Yeah.
But that Shadrad was something else, wasn't he? But I thought that I have subscribed to this channel because they have some beautiful artwork, and the artwork is just blow you away, doesn't it, y'all? I
Oh
mean,
yeah, that's
Yeah.
I was unbelievable when I saw it.
hmm
Okay, okay, kids, got you in. We got a little static going on. Uh, but yeah, we kind of knew. Now we know for certain, but we always kind of known that giants did exist. But what I did find interesting is that the average Egyptian, the tallest male, was only about 5 feet 8 inches.
Yeah.
The people in historic times like that, prehistoric time, well, not prehistoric, but back in ancient times, were really not tall people. If look at the Egyptian tombs, when you can see the sarcophaguses and the sarcophagi, as they call it, and the entrances and the hallways of the actual tombs of kings,
Yeah.
they were actually small, you know. Um, and even the entrances for most of the kings were small. So, what do you think, Kathy?
yeah. I couldn't hear it. I don't know why. Maybe because I was on my cell phone, but I was
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot when you're on your cell phone,
yeah, I
you
can't.
can't hear it in the studio. That's
But I
right.
was
Yeah.
looking at the wording, and I'm familiar with Horus as well. Now, was Horus the giant as well? They say.
Uh, they say, well, Horus was the Egyptian god that was worshipped, and some of the giants were worshipped as gods. They say. So apparently he was. You're right.
Okay.
Apparently Horus was a god. Yeah.
All right.
And they say that the relationships ended um, because sometimes the giants, were troublesome because they wanted to rule, because they were the biggest. The biggest always want to rule, right? But you got to think when you're an isolated race or species of its kind, just being a giant, and you're there by yourself, or you only got two or three others. That's so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Doug says the Nunkai didn't like it that Earthlings were so short. Ha ha ha. Oh, okay. I don't know who the Nunkai are, but he says containing electromagnetic energy, it can work as a levitator as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
the Anunnaki. Is that the Anunnaki? I don't know. I'm trying to remember.
Anaki. Yeah, maybe that's what he's saying. I'll
Yeah,
put
I'm
that back up there
familiar with
for you.
Anunnaki.
I'll
Hmm.
put that back up there so you can see it. Okay, Anaki.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, Anaki. Okay, well, yeah, and he talks about the kinetic magnetic energy. They did mention that some of these giants were considered to be spiritual, and so I'm sure that they had a connection with the alien DNA, uh, and they were actually probably had more energy and more strength to become superhuman because they were elevated and could receive more magnetic energy from the sky than the average person down below them, you see.
Hmm.
So uh, there's a lot of science going on there too as to why they probably uh, contain knowledge, even they say that was unknown to the population, unknown to the human being, because they probably could do a lot of meditation. And it was really, really quiet back then. Remember, no industries, no noise, and Kathy, you're a cabin all the time, so you know how that piece goes, right?
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, I did hear some things about. They said But I don't believe they all got, killed, because I do think that they are hiding the fact that there are other species, just like, the Sasquatch and the Loch Ness monster and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They see them briefly, but they're of course shy, and they're in hiding because they don't, they're looking out after they're, somebody's going to kill them, because they don't understand them. And so they might be hiding in places that we don't know about, like caves, underground caves, and all kinds of things. You know.
Right. I still believe they exist. And do y'all remember this a wrestler about 20 years ago that was a wrestler? He was called something the Giant. He,
Andre the Giant.
Andre
Andre.
the Giant. Y'all
Yeah,
remember
he was
him?
big. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he was a big guy.
Yeah. So he comes from that DNA ancestry.
Hmm.
Apparently, of course, I'm sure he's passed away by now, but he had to be at least what about 10 feet, 12 feet tall, Tim?
Wow. He was a giant. I don't know if he was quite that tall, but he was up there. He was
Yeah.
up there, and that brings up another thing. Usually, people that's his size or bigger, they always have a lot of aliens that come with them.
Hmm.
Phys-
Illnesses.
uh-huh. Mostly attached to the body.
Well, in modern day
Mm.
times, but not back then.
Well, yeah, you got a point.
Not back then, because back
Yeah,
then
they were
they
eating
said that
living.
they were superhuman. They had a lot of strength.
I can believe it because what
Yeah,
they were eating for one is real was real back then.
it was real. Yeah, yeah. So we're not gonna take a break. We're gonna go straight to um, Kathy's
Oh.
um, presentation.
Hmm.
Kathy's with me to tell her what we were gonna be talking about, because she's been on vacation. And Kathy said, she says,
Your mic going in and out.
"Oh, okay. How about now?
Yeah, we can hear
Good
you
now.
now.
Yeah, my arm was laying on my mic cord. I think it's lost. I mean, think it's loose in my system here, and I'm gonna try to plug it in and tighten it up so I'll watch it. I won't lay my arm on there anymore.
Hmm.
But yeah, Kathy says that either her ancestors had giant DNA, or she's related to them. So let's hear from Kathy.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just, we're synchronized here, like synchronized swimmers, because I ended up finding this a couple days ago, and then you said you were going to do a talk show about giants, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been researching it for the last 2 days, and
Isn't
I
that
didn't even
something?
Yeah, and I didn't even know I was possibly related to them. What I was
Okay.
doing is, for the last 5 days or so, I've been working on DNA on genie.com with my Norwegian ancestors. And sometimes it ends up bringing me to Finland and also to Iceland,
Hmm.
which is very ancient as well. And so I ended up finding it, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, is there something wrong with my glasses? Because it said that I am connected to Fornjot, Fornjot, the ancient giant king of Kevinland.
Yeah,
His
and I'm
his
trying to share it,
ancient
but we are frozen here. Let me
Oh,
hold on just a minute. Let me
okay.
I'm gonna try to Facebook page on my phone, and switch my phone over to data so I can see if it stopped you sucking up my Wi-Fi. I'm gonna turn it off on my phone. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay. So now it's coming up. I think I think they've been doing some work over here in my
Mhm.
area. I don't know whether it's got to be AT&T, because last night I was watching Prime Video, and the doggone stupid TV was just turning itself off. It was so
Wow.
funny.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so weird. And then after it went through what it went through, then it came and it stayed on. Okay. Okay, so Kathy, I just brought your
Okay.
information up.
Now, the only thing you can't see him, you can only see the top part that says I might be connected to him, but it's not showing
Oh,
his.
I'm rolling
Oh,
it
there we go.
down.
Oh, good, good, good. Okay, so yeah, what happened is I connected to a bunch of Vikings, and then I ended up connecting to something that was possibly mythical, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, and then all of a sudden I started coming into contact with all these things that aren't mythical, and it said
Hmm.
I was connected to him. So he's
Wow.
considered an ancient giant. Like I said, Fornjot, Fornjot, King of Kevinland, Kvenland, and of course he's a male, and he was born around. It says two 295. It was,
Hmm.
so, and it says that he was born in Kevland, Finland, and I have a lot of ancestry there, and I've been researching that for a while, but I had no clue. And it says that his father was King Kari, I think it's Kari, yeah, Kari, Wind Fornjotson of Kevland, and his mom was let me see, father. Okay, a father. He had other children too. So I just connected with them all, and then I thought that was the coolest thing, and now you're doing a show on it. So like I said, it's just perfect. Perfect. And I come from Finland, and Karelia is up north, and the Russians took it over. But it's a real forestry area, and it's got they've got monasteries there too, so people go there, on crusades and things like that, religious crusades, and so it is also called Fairyland on the Russian website, which I thought was very interesting because, I
Hmm.
believe in all that as well. And so just to even think, I don't know where it is on the map, this area, but now I'm going to look
Hmm.
because I thought it was Norway, but then I was looking and I thought I saw somewhere where it said Finland. So
Hmm.
they're all kind of related. But yeah, so one of my ancestors is from Finland, and I think it could be but the shamans, the Finnish shamans, they were hired on ships because they could control the winds. So that's another thing that they were ability to do. So when there was no
Wow.
wind, they could change the direction of the wind. So I'm related to all of them, and I'm a air sign, which is really funny, Aquarius.
Mhm.
So, but the wind to me like comes alive. It just feels like it's like a creature, you know.
Hmm.
When I'm
Hmm.
at the cabin, it's actually whirled around so much it almost sounded like it was knocking on the door. I mean, it was really crazy, but so I believe in all these things because I've witnessed them, experienced them, and felt them, and I believe giants are real. And look at the Guinness Book of Records. There's tall people, and now they're
Hmm.
discovering, archaeologists are discovering things that are changing history,
Right.
and they're
Well, I
finding
mean, look.
giant skeletons.
Yeah, I mean, look at these basketball players nowadays.
Hmm.
There are a lot of
Hmm.
them are tall, and
Hmm.
then the Africans that are in other lands. I mean, right today, they in certain parts of Africa, they're extremely tall. They're
Hmm.
skinny. They're not 6 feet wide, as we'll find out in our next video that many of the giants during the biblical times was not only were they 13 feet tall, they were also 6 feet wide, which we would probably call fat. But I mean, if you're going to be 13 feet tall, you got to balance it out, right? So
Yeah, that
it
makes
would
sense.
only seem, yeah, it would only seem natural that they be about 6 feet wide,
So,
right?
yeah. So, Kathy, let me ask you this: in your bloodline, do y'all have any tall people that you recognize?
Oh yeah, my brother Craig, he's 6'4", which
Okay.
is tall. And
Kathy's tall. Kathy, you're tall, aren't you?
well, I'm taller than you, but I'm not tall. I'm like 5'4", so I'm not tall.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
it's probably because I was a preemie. Who knows?
Uh,
Because I was only
oh,
seven
true.
months and I was 2 pounds. So if I
Yeah.
kept growing, maybe I would have been bigger. I always wondered about
Yeah,
that.
you
Mhm.
probably would have been as tall as him had your time.
Who
been,
knows?
if had you made it to full term, you and your sister, right?
Right, both of us. Yeah, we were only two
Mm-hmm.
pounds each. So when you put us together, we were still only 4 pounds, which was still a premium.
That's really tiny. You're miracle babies. You
Yeah,
guys
for
are miracle
sure.
babies,
Yes.
miracle twins. Yeah, for sure. All right, so we will. That was really interesting. Now, y'all think let's stop sharing that and get a round of applause from the audience because that was really interesting,
Yeah.
and it was right. It's really good because she was mentioning that she didn't even know I was gonna be talking about
No,
giants, and said she was I just happened to be
studying.
researching it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a strong. That's what you call family for sure.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
So let's take a little break. When we come back, we're gonna watch our next video, and let's talk about that big tall guy, Goliath. But what I did y'all know that Goliath had? Thank you, Doug. Doug says, "Wow, wow, very interesting, Kathy. Me too." He said he was premature. Oh, bless your heart. Yeah, he sure was. And actually, you're tall too, Doug. I think you're what about 6 feet at least. But did y'all know that Goliath, the giant that David fought, had brothers?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, let's meet his brothers right after we do our commercial. All right.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, let's take a break. So, you guys will be back. Stick and stay. Please share. Don't go away. All right, we are back. Yeah, so I found out that Goliath had brothers. Now, who would have thought?
All right.
Okay, let's listen to his story. All right, here we go, y'all. Enjoy.
You've probably heard of Goliath, the infamous giant from Gatha Philistia, right? He's basically the headline act when it comes to biblical giants. But there's a lot more to his story and his giant family that might surprise you. Today, we'll dive into the tales of Goliath's 5 brothers, all big and towering figures just like him. This is the first of our series on biblical giants, crafted due to popular demand. If you find this intriguing, don't forget to like, comment, and share with friends and family who'd appreciate this deep dive. So let's dive in this scripture origin. While Goliath holds the title for the most renowned giant in the Holy Scriptures, there are some lesser-known facts about him, his background, and especially his family. A piece of trivia that often goes unnoticed? He wasn't an only child. Goliath had 5 brothers, all part of the Rephaim or Rephate giant lineage. Few know the true story behind this terrible and monstrous giant of the Holy Scriptures. Among the facts and curiosities about his life, there is an aspect that most people who know his story are unaware of: his genetic relatives, that is, his brothers of the same race. For those who don't know, Goliath had about 5 brothers of the same race, belonging to the race of Rephaim giants, also known as Rephate giants. The Bible says that Goliath's 5 brothers planned to get back at King David soon after hearing that their brother Goliath of Gath, who was the same race as them, had been killed by King David. These 5 giants were so angry that they tried everything to get back at the king of Israel and kill him. Some theorists and experts say that one of these giants faced David and fought with him. But, as we'll see in more detail later in the video, one of David's soldiers' friends killed this giant, so that the lamp of Israel wouldn't go out. The people who were represented by the warriors of Israel told David not to start any new wars or battles because he might be alone when other giants try to kill him. The Bible tells us that after the Israelites left Egypt, the house of slavery and servitude, they went to Canaan, where they met different Canaanite people, Canaanite tribes, and giants from different races. These giants were very tall and wide. They were between 10 and 15 feet tall and 6.5 feet wide, which is a huge size. King Og of Basin is a good example. He was about 15 feet tall and 6.5 feet wide. It weighed so much that an entire iron bed was needed to hold it up. He really did look like a monster. The Bible also talks about the Rephaim or Rephames, an ancient tribe of giants who lived before the Nephilim and the Antiquians. People knew that they lived in the Basin area, which is now a part of both Jordan and Israel. Mighty men or giants are both ways to say Rephaim. They are mentioned in Deuteronomy 2 verse 20 and 21 and 3 verse 11, and Og, the king of Basin, is linked to them as their king. The Bible also talks about the Anakians or Anakims, who were giants. They lived in Canaan before Joshua led the Israelites to take it over. They were a strong and tall tribe. In Numbers 13 verse 33, the Israelites are told that the Hebrew spies said they saw the sons of Anak as giants. This made the Israelites afraid and doubtful. The Bible tells us that most of the giants and giant races that stayed alive or ran away from Joshua and Israel did so because Israel fought them and killed or seriously hurt many of them. Most of these giants went to live in Philistia, Mesopotamia, and other nearby countries, as well as moving to Africa. In fact, there are stories about these scary giants in almost every part of the world and among many different groups of people. This means that giants lived not only in the land of Canaan, but also in Mesopotamia, Africa, the Americas, Europe, and India. Now let's talk about each of Goliath's brothers in more detail. They are all giants. Lami was the name of the first giant brother of Goliath, and Lami was a big man, just like Goliath. In 1 Chronicles 20 verse 5, it says about Lami, "And there was war again with the Philistines, and Elhanan the son of Jair hit Lami, the brother of Goliath the Gittite, whose spear shaft was like a weaver's organ." In this verse, we learn some interesting things about Lami, who was Goliath's brother. In this verse, the size of his spear is brought up as a very interesting question. Also, the weight of his spear, since the organ of the weaver is so big. That is, if his spear was the size of a weaver's organ, or about the same size as a weaver's organ, then it was without a doubt a very long and very heavy spear. The giant Lami was probably about as tall as the giant Goliath, or at least very close to that height. Some people say that the giant Lami was about 10 feet or even 10.5 feet tall. Ishbibana was the name of the next giant mentioned in the Bible. Like Goliath, he was a member of the same race of giants. In 2 Samuel 21 verse 16, it says that Ishbibanob, one of the giant's Rephaim's sons, had a spear whose point was made of bronze and weighed about 300 shekels. This is a lot of weight. He also used a huge new sword and made sure everyone knew it was a big sword. Some people say that the spearhead alone weighed between 13 and 15 pounds, which shows how heavy it was. The text says that Ishbibanob's sword is huge and very sharp, just right for a giant. Ishbibanob, a giant who was the same kind of person as Goliath, tried to hurt and even kill David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, and a friend of David's, saved him. He beat Ishbibanob and killed him. It is interesting to note that David fought this giant, Ishbibenob, when he fought another giant for the second time. David, on the other hand, was sick of fighting and needed help. Ishbibenob, who was also Goliath's brother, was defeated by Abishi, who was the son of his sister. Taking into account how big Ishbibenob's weapons were, and the fact that he was a giant, it is likely that he was 9 to 10 feet tall or even taller. Goliath of biblical fame wasn't the only towering figure in his lineage. His brother Saph was another member of the Rephate giants, as highlighted in 2 Samuel 21 verse 18. In one confrontation with the Philistines, Sibbecai the Hushathite faced off against Saph and came out on top. Size-wise, it's speculated that Saph might have been in the same ballpark as Goliath, perhaps a tad taller or shorter. Many believe Saph stood at about 6 cubits, translating to roughly 9 to 10 feet. But the plot thickens in 2 Samuel 21 verse 19, where we're introduced to yet another giant from Gath. Interestingly, he's also named Goliath, but goes by the moniker Goliath the Gittite. During a battle in Gob, Elhanan the Bethlehemite confronted and bested this Goliath, whose signature weapon was a spear as thick as a weaver's beam. It seems oversized spears ran in the family. But to clarify the confusion around their shared name, one was the Gittite, while the other hailed from Gath. But the family of giants doesn't end there. Goliath had a fifth brother, a mysterious figure not named in the scriptures. This particular giant made a name for himself not just because of his towering height, but also due to his unique physical trait. 6 toes on each hand and foot, amounting to 24 in total. A member of the Rephate lineage, this giant is believed to have been the largest of them all, with his unusual set of digits capturing much attention. If this narrative on Goliath's family is new to you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. For those familiar with these tales, your insights are always welcome. And if you're interested in more stories of giants from biblical times, give a shout out. Thanks for joining me on this exploration of the larger-than-life figures from the past. See you soon.
Yoo-hoo! 24 digits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that tells you right there that's an alien DNA mix, right?
I would have to agree.
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes now down through history, we know that some actual humans in our time of, 18th century, 17th century, and up until probably even going on now, that maybe occasionally a child may have an extra uh, finger or an extra toe. But I've never heard, this is my first time. That's why I thought this is so great for this paranormal show. It's
Yeah.
something really mythological about that. I mean, 6 fingers on each hand and 6 toes on each foot,
Yeah.
a total of 24 limbs, you know. The
Mhm.
aliens always have extra limbs. They
Mhm.
got an extra something somewhere, don't they?
Now, I was wondering something about giants, right? I
Uh-huh.
mean, were the women, their mothers, giants too? Because they had to have been.
Apparently, I would think so because they
Yeah.
said that it was a race of
Yeah. So
people.
the women had to have been that big, even though they only show the males most of the time.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah.
women.
Hmm.
No, go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Well,
Now I was just saying it was an interesting question because they never mentioned any females. It's just always been
No,
males.
they
well,
never do.
back in those days, females could not receive recognition anyway. They,
Hmm.
they were never mentioned. They were just, everybody knew they had a mother, but nobody
That's it.
really. That's
Hmm.
it. They just knew they had a mother, and many times they didn't even know their names or even cared
I
who their
know.
names was. You know,
Yeah, I noticed that in genealogy, sometimes they put NN. That means that they just don't even want to put
no
it.
name. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Hmm.
mean, even through after the death of Christ, the women were, to be silent. Uh,
Right.
they were considered as property.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen until the 1900s. Before the 1900s, women were always, as far dated back as far as beginning of time, was considered property of the man. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right.
which is there. It's kind of mythological to me because a lot, except for in different cultures. Because I know for a fact that in many African cultures, uh, the female is the matriarch of the
Mm-hmm.
family. She's the
Yeah.
one. She's the one that gives the orders and the bosses and say if it's okay or not okay. Um,
Yeah.
Jeez.
Even the Lakota. The Lakota. I have a friend who's a Lakota. He's related to Crazy Horse. He's the only one, family line that's recognized that way. And
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
he said they used to make his name is Floyd Clown, and he has a book on Amazon if you want to read the real facts about Crazy Horse. And I think I'm related to Crazy Horse too. But it's interesting that I noticed some of the same curators go to Scotland, Norway, Finland. They go to all those places because even the indigenous people are a part of this line, see, and we shouldn't neglect it. But Floyd says that women made really good chiefs
Yeah, they
because they were
do.
more balanced.
Uh huh.
But you
And
know
so
what?
they
Go
would
ahead. I'm
have
sorry.
female Lakota chieftains. Yeah. Hmm.
Tim.
Hmm. Oh, it's something that's dawned on me. That's all. You know, I think I think Americans are the only women that are not raised to be wives.
Hmm. That's
Isn't that
interesting.
strange? Every
Yeah.
other culture raised, their females to be wives.
Well, this was before 1900 because even in America
I'm
in
talking
19
about even now.
excuse me, you're moving too fast for me because
Okay.
you're combining it all together.
Okay.
What I want to separate to you is the fact that even in my time growing up as a child, the women of the neighborhood were nothing but wives. They didn't work. They stayed home. They cooked. They sewed. They were the hairdresser of the neighborhood. They might fix hair for everybody, make a little money that way. Your grandmother, she taught music. You know, and taught typing. There was a seamstress in the neighborhood. These are the type jobs that they did, but it kept them in the home because they had to stay home and mind their children. And the children were raised properly. The children was raised right and they were disciplined.
Yeah.
Now, I think it was probably going into the 70s when the women began to really come out after the women's movements and uh, the what was it the marijuana festival up there, California,
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Yeah, after Woodstock and women right and all that started happening in the 70s. That's when women would begin to creep into the workforce.
Mm.
But it hasn't been that long, just to put it in perspective for you so you don't jam it all up there together. It hasn't been that long that women were not wives, okay? If they weren't wives, they were sisters and aunts. They was the auntie of somebody that helps see after the house, attend the house, and cook and see after the family. And they didn't go into the workforce. They had no jobs. Okay,
So, so it was a trade off for independency.
it was a trade off, and that's the reason why these kids so doggone bad. Is because there's nobody to raise them. The mother can't stay home to raise the child properly because the little welfare and economic help that the government gives them is not enough to take for a family to even hardly survive off of. So the woman has got to go into the workforce, especially if she is a single mother.
Right.
You see,
Yeah, I get it.
because they they're with these assistance programs that the government gives, which is a systematic displacement and inhumane treatment of family values to me. I always have been. That's why I never was on welfare. Was the fact that the government gives them a check, her sisters, maybe for a couple of $100 a month or $400 or $500 a month, and they provide them government housing, but they cannot let the father of
Right.
the child stay in the dwelling with the child.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's family value total displacement. That's been in effect ever since around the 70s or 60s too. And so the women had to start going out into the workplace.
Gotcha.
Um, then daycares got created, because that now you got the woman single woman got double trouble now.
Yeah.
Not only has she got to go out and find a job to work to take care of her children, she got to pay somebody to take care of them while she got to work.
Yeah.
How dumb is that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, not now. Make does make sense.
Wow.
But that point about you bringing out the part about America, yeah, America started it. I would say, uh, I would say that America had a head start on the UK, because the UK kind of still kept the women, at home where they would be married, and then what happened, too, is this. I hate to have to bring religion in here, but this is what happened. When the women start, when society forced the women into going into workplaces, well, let me say this: when society enabled the women to go into the workplace, not only did the family values begin to change at that time, a woman, young girls wouldn't dare think of having sex and breaking their virginity, you know, uh, in the 60s, before the 70s, and that sort of thing. But now it, it's eh, it's like it's nothing.
Yeah.
It's and it's nothing to them. They have no honor. The woman's honor. These young girls don't have no honor. Back then, you had women, young girls had honor. It was a disgrace if a young girl got, knocked up.
Yeah.
She was not allowed to attend church with her not married, with her stomach sticking out there. And she definitely wasn't allowed to sing in the church choir or teach Sunday school,
Yeah.
not married. That was disgraceful. But
Yeah.
now these churches don't even put their foot down on the rule.
Shout out.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the body is a temple. You should respect it. And females
yeah.
need to empower themselves because it discredits them by just
Mm-hmm.
jumping, you
Mm-hmm.
know, like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you got the institutions that go along with it, which
Yeah.
Yeah.
they have done for the past 30, 40 years now, it's out of control, and it's just not no, it's not gonna turn it back. It's not gonna turn back. And
Yeah.
there's no coming back from that one. Once you let that one out, once you let that goat out, there's no that goat ain't coming back. You know, say you can't put that goat back in the fist
You're
and
right. You're right.
so. But once we lost a lot of things as industry and society changed, and a
Right.
lot of them was respect and honor that women had for themselves, which is totally unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the women of today don't leave a whole lot of room for imagination.
No room for imagination.
Yeah, that is a problem. Yeah, I agree because if everything's given for free, then how can they expect to get anything from relationships?
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, why pay for the milk when you get it free?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
but there's nobody to teach these young ladies, women, not all of them. That I would say maybe that there is about 10% maybe of society that does have still teach their daughters and their sons, as far as that's concerned,
Hmm.
respect of the bodies and moral values and that sort of thing. But
Right.
the majority of society nowadays.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, because even men, if they get women pregnant, and they got their responsibility the rest of their life, and they might not even love that person, and then they're stuck. You know.
back
True.
then, but if
Yeah.
it happened back then before the
You
70s,
was stuck.
no, it was a shotgun wedding. You was gonna get married.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You was stuck.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not funny, but they were taught if you didn't know to respect
Yeah.
this woman, you was gonna be made to respect because you gonna have a shotgun wedding, and
That's
and
true.
and that wedding was gonna be monitored for your lifetime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was good.
But nowadays, say so. Hey, this has been a great show. Closing remarks, Tim.
Oh wow, great show. A lot of information. Learned a lot tonight, as usual. Can't
Yeah.
wait to do it again.
Yeah, and Kathy, I mean, you brought something interesting to the table.
Hmm.
Who nowadays would have thought to research their DNA to see if they were connected, their ancestry was connected with giants. That was
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah.
Well, I came upon it just in researching my normal DNA and the Viking DNA, and of course the Vikings were really huge.
Yeah, the
A lot of
Vikings
them
were
were
tall
huge.
too. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
them were, and they were super strong too.
Yes, and that's why some of Germany wanted the Aryan race to be, in a lot of other countries in the Crusades and all these things. They wanted to kill that bloodline because they
Hmm.
didn't want them to have a strong bloodline.
Yeah,
So
like they
there's
did the giants. Yeah,
yes, and so that was sad too.
Mm.
You know,
yeah,
so there's
you're
a lot of
right.
sadness in history. So, but we got to respect strength and physical form in all forms. And you mentioned they were spiritual. That should be taken into consideration. That they weren't just mean bullies.
Yeah.
And they helped
Hmm.
build things. So obviously,
Hmm.
you know, there was something good about the giants.
Yeah, there was. Well, I tell you what, let me post this right quick. I want to thank all 183 of you who have joined in. I know some of you just joined in. Some of you has been here since the beginning. And I'm going to put that on the screen because we thank y'all very much. Let's give our audience a round of applause. Thank y'all so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
83 of you all from different platforms watching us. From Facebook, we have Douglas that actually came into the comment column. We want to thank you so much, Doug. I'm going to put his last comment on the screen so he can get his recognition for coming into the studio to comment tonight. Doug was saying Chief Leonard Crow Dog of Lakota adopted him as his nephew. Wow. Isn't that
Wow, who
something?
said that? Doug said that. Wow,
Doug, yeah.
I didn't know that. We got to talk, Doug.
Okay, Catherine said y'all gotta talk. Now let
Yeah.
me go way back up here. I know she came into the studio too. Sandra came into the
Hey,
studio. She
Sandra.
says hello
Thank you, son.
everyone. And
Yeah.
also Judy, Ziggy's wife came in. I saw her. Here she is. Thank you, Judy, so much for
Hey,
coming
Judy.
into the comment in the comment column with us tonight. So to all of you, we say good night and keep believing because I'll tell you something. Uh, a lot of this information has just been hidden from the public. A lot of paranormal things, a lot of mythology things that people who had considered as credible has had the stage for all these years to tell us whether it's true or not, it's true or it's not true. But now, thanks to technology, all of these things can be researched. All of the archaeological files and pictures and film can be accessed. So now they can't hide this stuff from us anymore. So let's get out there and find some more paranormals so we can celebrate and show it on the Paranormals, Pearls Paranormals TV show. Come and tune in with us tomorrow night. Do y'all want to do politics tomorrow night?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Politics
Ab-
tomorrow night. We just had Super Tuesday yesterday, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And Friday night, I want to see everybody and their grandma right here tune in to the Emily Pearl Show because we are celebrating the heartbeat of the
Yeah.
South birthday
Yeah.
show
Woo-hoo!
celebration.
All right, it's your day
And
night to shine. It's your turn.
we're
Yeah.
gonna have people serenading him all night long.
All right.
Yeah.
That,
I'm not gonna tell you all who's coming. It's gonna be a surprise because I only put two people on the billboard, but it's some more coming, all right? And that
okay.
you don't know about. All right. Thank you all so much. We love y'all. Good
Good
night. We'll see you
night.
tomorrow night. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Love you.